What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Filthyswole. We got another interview for you. I'm actually alongside one of my bestest friends. We've been friends for a while, and yeah, we're just going to talk about his career a little bit and career life in general. So, just another walk of life. Without further ado, I'll let them introduce themselves and then just talk about, you know, what they do for work.
All right. Thanks for having me, Mr. Filthyswole.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Mister.
My name's Damien, and like you said, we've known each other for a while, since middle school, and I got a degree in health, wellness, and behavioral sciences.
Okay.
I've played sports ever since I was young, and then in my own development as an athlete, there's some psych stuff that kind of went into it, and a lot of just like mantras or like positive self-talk and kind of changing the way you think about things, and lots of reframing. And then I went to school, majored in that health, wellness, and behavioral sciences.
Mm-hmm.
I did admissions for a year because that was kind of COVID, and that was
Oh, that admissions counselor's job.
yeah, and it just wasn't the time to move back to Washington because COVID was popping in Washington. And then I moved back and I'm working for the state now. And the title is a psychiatric childcare counselor.
Mm.
And I'm at a 24/7 facility where I work with some of the most acute cases in Washington state. So we take people under 18. Once they're 18, they can't be there anymore, but it's a lot of multiple diagnoses and
Yeah.
a lot of behavior management, a lot of extreme behaviors. So
Okay.
that's where I'm at.
Okay.
It's a little bit about me.
Did you see yourself getting to this role? Is this how, like, you comfortable in this position, coming from the admissions counselor, and then you started with your what was it? Your athlete background.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, if you would have asked me, where I would have been in 5 years ago, I wouldn't have guessed I'd have been a supervisor at this point. I feel pretty young to be a supervisor,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of worked my way up from the bottom. So I was a we go by ones, twos, and threes there, and that's kind of how you differentiate the leads and the roles and the floor staff.
Okay.
So I was a one, and then I was a two, and then a three, and I don't know. Each time, like the lead position presented itself, I didn't think I was necessarily ready,
Yeah.
but I had a lot of my team and coworkers encouraging me to apply because they thought I'd be a good fit, and I'm just
Right.
kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
So, and then it was the same thing once I moved up from that role. I was like, I don't know if I want this kind of responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
and if I'm the necessarily the best fit. But I think the question that I asked myself that I would encourage a lot of people to ask themselves
Mm-hmm.
when they're trying to take on a role that is uncomfortable but maybe beneficial for them, or it might be a leadership role, is do you think that do you think someone else is going to do the job better than you? And if the answer is no, because you think you're diligent and a hard worker and doing the right things and focus on the right aspects, then I think people should be uncomfortable be comfortable being uncomfortable, and take the leap and kind of see if it's for you.
So, thinking about like people challenging themselves, and you're saying that, like, figuring out if it's a role for them by stepping outside of the comfort zone or reflecting and being like, hey, could I do a better job than this than maybe one of my coworkers or
Mm-hmm.
colleagues or whatever. For you, was that an easy transition to be like, I think, yeah, I could do a better leadership management type position than your colleagues? Or was that like, still has some
Yeah, I know. It
drawbacks?
depends on the title and the role and organization, but since I kind of worked my way up, I thought I know the ins and outs of this job. I know what people at the base level. I know how they think and what they want with change, and I'd be a good advocate for that because I've gone through each of the levels now,
Right.
right? So going from
Yeah, first-hand experience.
exactly direct care staff to like someone who's leading, I thought I'd be one of the best advocates for the team that I was working with because
Yeah.
I've been through it all. I've gone through the frustrations about like I wish they would hear us on this, or they would share this with us, or what's the plan for X, Y, and Z. So yeah, I would say I knew I worked really hard, and I don't really cut corners, and I'm always trying to do my best. So I was like, well, I'll give it my best, and if anything, I'll just kind of go back to the other position, and it'll be a good little trial service still, see if it's something for me or not. And here I
Mm-hmm.
am, full time as it
Yeah.
as a supervisor now. So it all worked out. Even though at the beginning I was like, I don't know if I want that much responsibility and if I can do
Right.
this, but yeah.
Seems like you're handling it.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows. I mean, there's ups and downs, and you get stressed, but it all kind of comes down to like your team and who you can like lean on, and then
Uh.
really how you reframe some things. So even if you're going through like a problem, it's really I've been working on like it's a good
Yeah.
opportunity for growth, even if it's
Okay.
not the challenge you wanted then.
Yeah.
It's like, well, even if I don't like it, at the end of the day, this is going to help me grow because I'm going to
Good.
learn from this, and this. That
Right.
next time, these are the steps and stuff like that.
You mentioned leaning on people,
Mm-hmm.
or a team, like your leadership team, or the people you oversee and you like support them in their duties or make sure they're doing the
I'd
duties
say I'd
correct.
say more the leadership team because there's just um, certain things that people are always going to be upset about, or they're not gonna like the decision, or they don't know all of the whys. And I
Yeah.
try and do my best to explain it, but just being in a leadership position, you can't make everybody happy. That's what I'm learning, is you got to be okay with
Ooh.
people not liking the
Everybody's gonna
decision.
be happy.
Yeah, so it's just they're not always going to understand that, and I can totally relate because I didn't like some of the decisions when I was down there and I didn't understand them. But now that I kind of see more of the stuff back in, I'm like, okay, we're just gonna have to roll with it. And I do my best
Mm,
to chime in my team's thing and keep it light, and I still joke with them so it's a little more palatable. But
sure.
sometimes people just aren't going to like the answer, and
Yeah.
like you're never going to make everybody happy, especially if you're doing your job right, and you got to hold people accountable. So
Yeah.
but you said leaning on the team, and I just lean on the leadership team a lot because they
Okay.
they're in similar roles, and they kind of have similar frustrations at times,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
similar they go through similar things, so we're able to kind of just vent at times. Sometimes it's just venting, other times it's giving perspective about, I can see where they're coming from. So
Mm. Okay. No, that's really interesting, and I like the perspective you have is just finding the growth in it. No matter the
yeah.
challenge or situation. Um, at the same time, though, let's take time to give some light. What is the biggest challenge with putting yourself in a leadership role?
For me personally, it's probably the last thing I just mentioned about like people aren't gonna like the answer, or sometimes people are just gonna be upset because you have to make a decision or you got to hold them accountable, and that's not always comfortable. And I would say
Right.
for majority of people, it's not comfortable for them to hold someone accountable. It can be, it
I see what you're
gets
saying.
tense, especially if
Like someone
people.
like being honest about the wrong, or like being honest about like not what they're not doing right. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so like let's say sometimes there has to be some like corrective feedback. Maybe I've asked someone to like fix something and they continue to not do what I've asked them, so there's been the coaching part. And then you have to hold them accountable in a different sense and have a little bit more of a serious conversation
Yeah.
about like, hey, we kind of talked about this, and I'm still seeing that you're doing X, Y, and Z when we had agreed that going forward it would be this kind of a thing.
Mm.
So um, just stuff like that, and people just like kids
Stuff like
there,
that.
just like kids there, and everyone in life, including myself and you.
Right.
People are always testing limits to see where the line's at and what they can get away with. So um,
Mm.
it's little things, it's big things at times, but it's just kind of dealing with that stuff.
Interesting. So because you work with youths that happen to test the line a lot, and now connecting that
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
employees you have to help oversee.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Hopefully, it's a lot less that you're
well, and
watching the
that's,
watch
I
the
mean,
line.
it is less, but everyone does it. I do it, you do it. It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
you do it with your partners of, hey, you get this for me, or you get this for me, or
Mm.
stuff like that. So,
So that's
um,
mostly what you're correcting.
well, that's when I'm saying people are testing limits. It's like in little ways. So it's
Mm.
like, um,
Little ways.
yeah, it's like bending the rule a little bit to see if
Right.
to see if you're going to say something or if I'm going to say something. And then if not, right, people kind of know that the line is a little further, or nope, they said something they didn't like, that the line's a little back.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How
does that impact you? Like, like as a, because you're in the leadership role, you're in the, the manager, supervisor position. Like, does that like just straight piss you off? Like, you're like, oh
no, it's pretty.
Give him the elbow.
It's pretty normal. Like I said, everybody kind of does it, and a lot of the times I can kind of make light of it because
that's good.
When I gotta
I like
and
that.
this helps make it a little more palatable for people when the work that we do, when we're asking the kids to do this, and then we're kind of like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a toy, or it's, you can get through this. But then, like, let's say I have to talk to the adults about something and be like, hey, there's no more cell phones on the floor anymore, and then it's a big fuss. But I'm like, but don't we tell the kids all the time that it's going to be okay and this isn't that big of a deal? And then it kind of lightens the mood because it's like, we're saying this all the time to them, so we should also be able to. So it's a little way to poke fun.
It's a good example.
It's a growing example, or it's a growing opportunity for me, because it's just
Yeah.
getting used to people not always liking me or you or the decisions you make, because that's just kind of life, you know.
Right.
There's always going to be different views about you should have done this, you should have done that, but at the end of the day, as long as you know you feel like you're doing the right thing and you have the best intentions in mind, or whatever your goals are, that's kind of what I.
That's how you.
That's how I remind myself. Like a lot of self-talk about just like I'm doing the best that I can. So
being comfortable with that is important.
Exactly, and I think
settling in that.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think, this is my recommendation to everybody, but just reminding yourself you're doing the best that you can given the circumstances, and people can be honest with themselves, and if you are doing your best or if you're not, and you can give a little more. But I know I work hard and I'm trying to do the best that I can for everybody involved. So
that's thoughtful.
Makes it a little more easy. Even though they're not going to like the decision, sometimes it's just like I said, you got to hold them accountable. Or I'm thinking about bigger picture and how this impacts other people too. So
right on. Wow, sounds like you've grown a lot with this leadership position. Do you see yourself continuing it for a while, or how do you feel overall?
I think I think I'll continue it in a while. I really like team building and culture. When you go to a workplace, that's probably like, I would say culture is the biggest thing about like how successful your organization is going to be. Because if we're able to have tough conversations, right, about these things, or we have open communication, there's going to be some tense days, but we'll be able to work through it. But if we have a bad culture where constructive feedback isn't welcome, or it's hostile, or like, it's just tense all the time and people are yelling at each other, it's not very solution oriented. It's not it's not getting to the root of the problem. You're not hearing what I'm saying, I'm not hearing what you're saying, because all we're hearing is the yelling, or like the drama talk, stuff like that.
Wow. I mean, what you just mentioned there, that can be applied to so many different settings outside of work. But like, just hearing your perspective though on like being in a leadership role, and why that thought process can be effective, or how it can have those positive impacts. I like that.
Like I said, it kind of just comes down to culture, and that's an important thing to me.
Yeah.
So if
work culture, y'all, work culture. Gotta think about that sometimes.
If that's something that's important to other people that are watching, or thinking about it, trying to go up to a leadership opportunity, I'd say go for it. That's probably one of the best things is you gotta have a good culture, and you gotta start there, and then once you got that, you can kind of build up the skills and everything else. So
and be comfortable as a supervisor, right? That's part of it too.
Yeah. And I mean,
be confident.
Yeah, and it's just like everything else. It takes practice. You're gonna have to practice being uncomfortable and having these conversations, but it's it's not like my heart still doesn't race when I have to have hard conversations. I think that's most people, but
the anxiousness about it.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're coming from a good place, and again, it's best for everybody at the end of the day, then you just got to remind yourself that like, I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah. As a supervisor in a leadership role, doing the best you can, partly as an employee to the organization, also balancing that with yourself as a person.
Yeah.
Because part of it can be, I feel like if you're in a leadership role, right, part of it can be the organization talking a lot, but at the same time, you in that role, right, and then you know you holding true to who you are.
Yeah, and that I think that just comes down to like a lot of um interpersonal communication, and that's also something that you'd talk about with your boss, right? Because there's certain things when you work that like you absolutely have to do these, right? And then there's other things that it's like, hey, I need you to do this, but you got some leeway on how you handle it. um and how I handle it, that's when it comes down to like your personal values, cores, things like that.
Okay.
So how I handle a conversation, how I talk to the employees, how I
Yeah.
want to roll out a
Yeah.
new learning opportunity for them and stuff like that. So
Nice. I like that. That's
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah, it's like I said, relationships are important to me and culture. So a lot of my
Hmm.
time is making sure I'm meeting the employees, the direct care where they're at, and like giving them the time to talk, because you want to feel valued, you want to feel like your voice is being heard,
Yeah.
especially the hard job that we do. So um, just making time for those people, and then asking about little things. How's your day? Following up, how was your weekend? Oh, you told me about you had this tournament. How'd it go? it's,
Yeah.
it's showing those little things that you like, you
Still
still,
connect.
yeah, it's not just
Yeah.
all work. I
Yeah.
still like want the best for you as a person, right? And
That's
how are
good.
things are
That's
going outside
good.
here too. So
Well, that's awesome. That's part of your, you as a supervisor, right? That's part of
yeah,
your identity as that in
exactly.
that role. So that's awesome. We coming up on time, but I really appreciate you. I mean, speaking to the people,
Yeah,
for the viewers. I hope there's something you take away, or you just enjoyed watching this. But really, really appreciate you sharing, a little bit about your walk of life, man, and
yeah,
what I mean, your role in a supervisor leadership position.
yeah, no problem. Appreciate you having me. If you're nervous about an opportunity, that means you care, and take the leap.
Ooh, take the leap.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we need that.